All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 15 of The Rebellion. I'm Tyson Smith. I'm going to be your host today. And today we have on an incredible lady, Annette. One thing I want to say before you introduce yourself is you give off the energy of an absolute, fucking girl boss.
Thank you.
And it's not just me who thinks that. So I want to tell you a quick story before you start. I can't remember when it was, but I got the opportunity to speak at the Wholesale Sharks event.
That's right.
And my girlfriend was there. And after the event, she kept asking me questions about you. I don't think she talked to you or anything, but she was just like, who is that girl? She was like, she is like a bad bitch. Like, she's like, I can just tell from that girl's energy and her vibe and everything that she is just like a killer. Like, tell me about her. And I was like, I need to learn more about her. Obviously we've done some deals and stuff together.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here. Annette, please tell everybody a little bit about what you do and
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. That honestly means so much to me. And I think your girlfriend is beautiful. She's like a picture perfect like model. She's just gorgeous. So that means a lot coming from her. So please tell her my biggest thank yous. But hi everybody, my name is Annette. It is such an honor to be here. Honestly, it's been crazy, to even be invited to a podcast like this because, I look up to your content and what you're doing in real estate. It's all amazing. So I myself, I'm doing real estate. I run a disposition company, Dispo Sharks. I work with Wholesale Sharks, another big investor here in Arizona. Moving deals, selling deals, getting them locked up. I run big events. I kind of wear a lot of hats, so that's just the tip of the iceberg, really.
So can you give the listeners an idea? Like do you know how many deals you guys are like doing on average or every single year? Because I know it's a lot.
So honestly, it really just fluctuates. We have good months. We have, I would say decent months, but we're doing anywhere from 1 to 2 deals a week. So I guess it just averages there. But, sometimes, especially in the current circumstances, we have been dry, I guess you could say. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks will pass and we're like, hey, what's going on? Or we'll have a deal, we'll lock up, and then it falls off.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you know how that goes. But I say we are pretty steady. We have a lot of end buyers that are just consistently on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So one thing I want to tell you that I've noticed from doing business with you, because we've done some deals together, it's that out of every single person, because I've worked with a lot of different like disposition companies here, and some I like more than others. One thing about you is that you are the most on top of the shit person of all time. Like if don't get back or you don't know something's going on, like you're going to blow me up and you're going to be like, what's going on with this? What's going on with this?
Yeah.
And I love that. Because I feel like so many people are complacent and they wait for things to happen. Where you're a hammer. You're like, no, we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's necessary in this business. I think if you let a minute pass and fall short, a deal's gone. Or if you let a minute pass, fall short, somebody is one step ahead of you. So I kind of learned the hard way, really, in the beginning stages of my real estate career. If you're timid and shy and you're holding back, you are going to be left behind. And you're going to miss the opportunity to make some money. Nobody's going to make it for you. So if you're not on top of it or one step ahead of all your competitors or anybody that is also in this game, you are going to fall short.
Absolutely. And I love how you said, like, you don't move fast enough, you can lose a deal. And in our industry, that's a very big thing. Like a deal is not a couple $1,000s. Like we're talking tens of thousands of dollars that
100%.
just got yanked out of your bank account, even though it wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So it feels like.
Well, yeah, because you imagine it, right? You're like, it's cooking, and then you get a signature, and then you're texting, and then, something happens, and it just, boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's been so many times that I've been at the gym or I've been at the grocery store, and I got something cooking, and I run to my car, I get my laptop, and I make it happen. I'm on a call, or I'm answering a text or something because that's what's necessary.
Yeah. Well, I believe that's what's going to set you apart, is that you are willing to do that. That's something that I'll say to people, especially when they're coming into our company. It's like, look, we have times that we're here every single day, but the job continues outside of that, where it's like, if you want to be successful in this, you have to want it bad enough where it doesn't matter if you're hopping in the shower. You hear the phone ring, you need to jump out of there and see what's going on, see who's calling.
100%. It's like a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing.
Oh yeah.
Even on the weekends, like I don't even know when it's a weekend anymore because it's like the days just continue, the business continues, and you're always wanting to be better and do better.
Right. Well, the thing is I love that it's like that because I love doing it. Like, I love being a part of this business, and for me, it's fun. Where, there's some people, like, I get asked a lot. They're like, Tyson, like, how many hours a week do you work? I was like, I have no idea. I don't track that. All I'm doing is just living life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I come in and at the end of the week I get a timesheet that's like, you spent this amount of time.
No, literally.
It's like from when I wake up, if my phone is on me, I'm at work,
100%. Yeah. The clock doesn't stop for real estate, especially for wholesale.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole other different clock because it's just like, it's all the time, 24/7.
Oh, yeah. And it moves fast.
It does so fast.
So how did you get into real estate?
Oh my gosh. So we were talking a little bit off camera because I was telling you that my story is a little crazy. How I got into real estate. So initially, I have no history of real estate. My family's not in real estate. I don't really even know friends that are in real estate. I was actually a flight attendant before the opportunity to be introduced into real estate. I was a flight attendant for American Airlines, and I did that for 2 years. And it was when COVID hit that everything changed for a lot of people, not just myself, right? So I figured that, I needed a plan B, something that was going to sustain me financially. Is it going to make me happy? Is it still going towards my goals of being financially free? And, the opportunity to travel and have a little bit of freedom. So I was like, the next best thing is going to be real estate. I read a lot of books and I, watched a lot of podcasts and videos of people and people that reached a certain level of financial freedom all tied to real estate. So I was like, okay, this is my route. This is where I need to go. And, COVID happened and everything. I get furloughed from my job. I don't have a job. I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. It totally turns 360 on me. And I meet a local investor here in Arizona, Ramon. He's the owner of Wholesale Sharks. You know Ramon well. The goat. The Mexican goat. Yeah, he's awesome. Him and I, we connected, personally, and like we just have.
How'd you meet Ramon?
So I met him through Instagram.
Okay.
So I literally, when I was like out of a job, I was like rock bottom. I was like, what the heck am I going to do? What the heck am I going to do? I need to find something quick. So I was like, the best thing to do is going to be to connect with somebody that's already doing it. So here in Arizona, I didn't know anybody, like not from here. Instagram. I was like, okay, real estate, #real estate. I think I literally put that in Instagram. And one of Ramon's videos popped up. So I go and I see all his videos and I was like, oh my God, he's like, his story is so relatable to where I come from, how I grew up, what he's doing and what his goals are and how he views things. I was like, I can relate to this person a lot. So I reached out to him, told him a little bit about my story and, hey, I'm kind of willing to learn. And, I have a lot of experience other than, my flight attendant career. I have a lot of experience in management. I did go to school for accounting and things like that, background stuff that I'm like, hey, you utilize me as a utility and see how I could be of value to you. So I go to his office and he offers me the job on the spot. And I decline it.
What do you mean?
I decline it. So as soon as I leave his office, I get an email from the airlines. They're like, hey, you could come back starting next week. We have the position open for you again.
No way.
I did. So I got this opportunity of a lifetime with one of the biggest investors here right on the spot. And I ended up calling him the next day. I was like, hey, Ramon, hey, I'm going to be honest, like the job of my dreams called me back to fly. Like, I'm going to take it. I really appreciate the opportunity, but it's just not going to work out. Maybe in the future, or I don't know. I don't really remember what I said, but I was like, hey, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go this route.
You turned him down.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I fly again for maybe 6 more months. And it was shitty, like horrible. COVID.
This is like the post-COVID flights?
No, this is in the midst of COVID. So it's still going on, right?
Yeah.
So, flights are getting canceled. There were so many times where I was sleeping on the floor of airports. They didn't provide hotels. They didn't provide food. My schedule was all over the place. I was working 15 hours a day to get paid maybe 8 hours. So I was being overworked. It was like horrible. I was falling into a place mentally where I was like, this is tragic. I'm like, what was once my dream job has turned into a nightmare. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I ended up getting furloughed again. So I was like, gosh, this is horrible. Well, I ended up connecting with Ramon again, but totally not like real estate related. I saw him post on Instagram about having tickets to the finals of the Suns, like the Suns finals last year or something like that, or 2 years ago now. And he got stuck in Hawaii, something crazy, and he was selling tickets. And I was like, hey, I'd love the tickets. Like, I love the Suns. I'm a big Suns fan. Gives me tickets, and then he's like, hey, how's the job going and everything like that? You really like it. I'm like, you know what? I got freaking furloughed again. Like, this is horrible. And he's like, hey, well, we just had like a position open. You're welcome to come check it out, see if it's something that is going to be a fit for you. And I knew at that moment that was an opportunity and a door open for me to kind of escape this like harsh reality that I was living, because I wanted to hold on so bad. It was like something that I really had a passion for, was to travel and be spontaneous and do the whole flight attendant gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I had to let it go. And that was pretty sad, honestly. It kind of sucked to like let that go, because you work really hard for it. It took me maybe, I think, over a year to get hired.
Really?
It's very strenuous. Like, you have to go through a 6-week training, but you go through a series of like interviews that it's like, I read a statistic that it's like just as hard to get into an airline as it is to get to Harvard.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you go through all of this rigorous training and this hiring process.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was really good, and then COVID just ruined all of that.
It did.
And made it really shitty. So then you speak with Ramon again. You have another opportunity with him, but you know that basically if you're gonna jump onto that ship, that this one's gone.
Yeah. It's like no more.
What was the deciding factor? Like why were you like, okay, I'm willing to do that?
You know what it was? My last paycheck at the airlines, and I quote you, I literally could show you the ADP like statement, was $270. So I was like, is this outweighing like my passion, my sustainability? Like, is this really worth it? And granted, it was that much because it was COVID and I was being furloughed and, all this stuff was going on. It wasn't normally like that, but that's the route and the direction it was going. I was like, this is going to be my paycheck. This is kind of like the situation that it is. I'm like, this is the determining factor. I'm like, first off, I'm not even happy anymore. Yeah. What was once like my biggest passion and I was excited to wake up every day, it was a freaking nightmare. I was like sleep deprived. I was freaking depressed. I wasn't working out. So I was like gaining weight. Like, it was just everything negative you could have imagined dawned upon me for this career, right? So in the airlines. And so that was really the determining factor. I was like, you know what? I'm not even making money. I can't even like provide for myself. I'm not happy. So it checks all the boxes of like whether or not I should, continue it or not.
Right.
So I was like, no, this has got, I have to make a change.
Yeah. So I think that people get stuck in like situations like what you're talking about, where they're like, whether it's something like where you had the passion and you loved doing what you did, but things change, circumstances change, and all of a sudden you found that your reality is not what you wanted
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice that you could give to somebody? Because I feel like a lot of people that I talk to, they're interested in real estate, they want to get into it, but like they're afraid to like make that jump and like leave all of this stuff behind, even though it's not the reality that they want for themselves.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for somebody that, might be thinking that same sort of thing?
Honestly, most definitely. So what I've learned throughout my growth and, having these experiences is like we get so comfortable and conditioned to think that there's only one way and that if you meet this goal, you have to stick to it. But things change, circumstances change. Sometimes there's the inevitables like, COVID. Who the heck knew that was going to happen? Nobody. I was like at my peak. I was so happy. Like, I was like, oh my God, I got my career I wanted. Like, I'm going to live my best life. But shit happens, really. And I think we have to turn off this conditioned mindset. And for anybody that is kind of in that position right now where they're like, God, like, I'm in the job that I work so hard for, but honestly, I wake up and I'm not really that happy. Well, you have to go back, and this is the advice I could give. You have to go back to what your core goal is, and that is it going to be to be financially free? Is it going to be to wake up happy every day? Because you could choose either or, like maybe you're not making as much money, but you wake up happy every day. If that's what works for you, then stick to it. Yeah. But if it's not, if the circumstances have changed, then that is going to be your determining factor to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And so that's really what it was for me. I had to take a leap of faith because both of those determining factors switched 360 on me. I was like, oh my God, I'm not happy or I'm not making money. So this dream job that I thought that that I had it's not it anymore. I have to search for the next big one.
Well, and I love the point you make where it's like you got to get rid of this conditional mindset that you must follow things a certain way, because life is not a predestined path. It's not like there's just like a one size fits all, like this is what's going to happen. It's going to all go according to plan. There's a million books that talk like exactly about that exact same thing. And it's like you got to be willing to just sort of like roll with the punches. And it reminds me of this story. The actor, I can't remember, John or Joe Bernthal, something. He has this podcast, and he's talking about this book written by like the Russian version of Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So it's this big, like prolific Russian writer, and it's called The Seagull. And in the book, there's this guy, and his dream is this girl. Like he just like loves this girl, and it constantly has this like allegory of seagulls, and like all of these different people in the book, they all have some dream they're chasing, and it keeps relating back to seagulls. And I think like the point of the book is that like your dreams are like a seagull. Like you can really only like see it. Yeah. And, you never really know where it's going to go. Like it might, come over and it's like, oh, now we're going over here. I got to go this way to look at the seagull. But once you actually like get it. So like in the book, the main character like ends up killing the seagull and bringing it to like the chick that he loves. But, and John makes this analysis. He's like, in order to like catch the seagull or catch your dream, you gotta pervert it. Like you have to kill it, and then that's the way he can like actually hold it in his hands and have it and give it to her.
Wow.
But the point I really like is that seagulls are going all over the place. So with your dream, the shit is gonna change. It doesn't have to be the same. Just because you said you wanted to be an astronaut when you're 8 years old, if chasing being an astronaut led you to all of a sudden you learned about this other area of science, then you start going this way. But then during that, you learned, oh, I actually really like sales. Now I'm going over here. And that's just the journey of life, is like you're just flowing along with it. And like as doors close, COVID just took that door you had and like slammed it.
No, literally.
And as that closed, another one opened, right, with this opportunity with Ramon.
Yeah.
And I think that you were able to follow that and see that, all right, this shit is closed because it's not giving me the things I want.
So I'm a big believer, and I love that example too. That's amazing. I definitely want to read that book.
I will say I tried to, but it's like, Shakespeare. No. Like Shakespeare is like weird to read, like to the weird language. This guy is like a Russian author, and there's a bunch of like Russian like idioms and stuff.
So you're like, what?
Yeah. So I upon seeing this, I'm gonna show you the clip that I was talking about after this, but. Upon seeing it, I was like, oh, dude, I want to read that book. And so I like got it, and I did like the preview on books. Like you can like preview it, and I came through and I was like, I can't understand a goddamn word. I don't get what's going on.
You're like, what?
Yeah. But okay, back to what you were saying.
No. Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. Always have. So, there's a lot of emotion in the midst of these like happenings, right? But when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, everything was a stepping stone to exactly where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So, all the hardships and all the devastation and all the heartbreak has led me to this success, quote unquote, of what I've experienced so far. I know that there's so much more out there for me, but, this is probably the best position I've ever been in my whole life so far. But I know I'm going greater places. So It's just like, it's just incredible that, anybody really we could experience these things, these big pivotal moments, but it really is for a greater reason.
Absolutely. So one thing I want to ask you is, for people who are asking me, hey, I'm interested in what you do. I want to get into it, but I have no experience. Like, I don't have any sales experience. I don't know anything about real estate, but like what you're doing looks cool. It looks like something I'd enjoy.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I'll tell them is go find somebody who's already doing it and work for them.
Yeah.
That is going to be the fast track to like learning the industry. Like I was saying, like if somebody comes into my office, like, and also I look for people who like don't have experience or anything like that, because then they don't have any bad habits that I need
to like mold them.
Yeah, exactly. We can get them exactly the way that we know works in our process. Yeah. But they can come in and then they can learn. They're going to learn real fast everything about this industry, because they're going to get exposure to all of these different deals, and they're going to see, and it takes away a lot of like the uncertainty that people will get in the beginning. If you're a beginner of this and you come in and all of a sudden it's like, shit, like I got to sign my name on these contracts, and then like, what if I don't sell them? And then like, how do I know? Like, what if people ask me questions? And right, where there's all these things where if you just find somebody who's already doing it, you're going to be so much better off. Like all of that just goes away. And it's like, okay, we just follow this process and from there we learn and then we can start tweaking, doing things our own way. And then maybe we go branch off and do our own thing.
Right.
But so you took the chance with Ramon. How did that start? Like, because you said you didn't have any real estate experience or anything like that. Like, did you just get thrown in and all of a sudden you're selling all the deals? Or like, how did that transformation occur?
Gosh, so it was crazy, right? So I show up at the office. I just left my dream job, and I show up, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know anything about real estate. I'm going to be 100% honest, but one thing I do know how to do is to work. So I'm a hard freaking worker. I always have been. I've been working since I was like 15. Even before then, I was like a nanny for like little kids, right? But I'm a hard worker, and I'm really easy at learning new skills. So you show me how to do something, you give an example, then I could apply it and learn it. And so Ramon, it was so funny. It was when we were at our downtown office. For the first few days, I show up and I'm just like trying to see what it is that they do. I'm trying to like learn what is their operations, how do they, what is it that they do on a day-to-day basis, and how can I kind of fit myself in to be a utility or be of value. And when I first get there, I don't even remember what I did. I think I really just watched, right? So I was watching Rodrigo like on the calls. Mm-hmm. And when I first started, this was a peak of where, deals were, it was like multiple ones a day. Like everybody, we would sit at a big circle table, and we still do till this day. And everybody's just like, oh, you're getting an assignment for this? Okay, I need the assignment for this, assignment for this. And I'm like, okay, what is an assignment? So I'm like, shit, I don't know anything. I'm like, I do not know anything. So I'm like writing down vocabulary words. And I did that for a little bit until I started kind of getting the gist of like, okay, this is like the most basic process. And the first thing that Ramon actually had me do was start calling people. And it was the buyers that we were already working with, just so that they can know who I was and who, like, the team that I was a part of. So Ramon was like, hey, I have a list of buyers that you probably should get in contact with, because eventually you're going to be working with them. So it's going to be good for them to know your name.
Yeah.
And also, start connecting with the people that we work with. So it was like other wholesalers, other big investors here. So people like Keegley, Jamil Damji, Templeton Walker. He's amazing. Just like the bigger names, the bigger well-known investors here, they're like, hey, just reach out to them. Let them know who you are. So that was the biggest thing for me. Right off the bat, I probably spent the majority of my time with Ramon when I first started, just having people know who I am. So I was going to literally every real estate event that was going on. Like if there was like 3 that week, I was there. So it was really just building the relationships. And I feel like that's so corny to say.
Well, no, but it's absolutely what needs to happen. And the thing I'm thinking of, because you got my wheels turning, the way that we expose people to this is we just get them on the phone with sellers. We just put our nastiest, we give them our nastiest, coldest leads. It's like, call these people and just have conversations about the house.
Just to get them seasoned.
Yeah, right? But I think that probably a much better way is to, because number one is that's going to get you comfortable on the phone. It's going to get you comfortable, like, building relationships, which you still need to do with the sellers. But it's going to be a much more receptive person when you're talking to a buyer. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, like, I want to provide value to you. I'm trying to make you some money. I want to sell you some deals.
Yeah. Well, what I learned, like, continuing on that is it's easy to get a deal.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get a deal. There's a million deals everywhere. But it's like, are you going to be that person that is going to sell it? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many deals out there that it's like you have to really stand out and be the person that is going to take that deal to someone that actually wants to buy it. So I don't know if I really gave an example of that correctly, but I just feel like Ramon really made me understand that that's the more important side.
Yeah.
So it's like having people know who you are, the value you bring, and the trustworthiness in the relationship that anytime a deal ever comes, they're going to think of you first.
Right.
So, I really tried my hardest in the most genuine way too, is to build these relationships where if anybody thinks of a dispo, they're going to think of Annette.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks of a new deal, they're going to think of Annette, or just that relationship and connection there.
Yeah.
So
I think that if people wanted to be able to do that, I think step number one is when you're talking to these buyers and you're building that relationship and you're saying, hey, this is who I am, is also getting information from them of like, what exactly are you looking for?
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're a home buyer, like tell me about the house you want, the deal you want to see, so that I can go find it for you. And that's something that I feel like you've built is I know if I get a deal in Arizona, it's like Annette is going to know, like she knows exactly. She knows that this guy is buying 3-2 houses or 3-2s that are in, this year built. Like that's exactly his bread and butter. That's his area. He'll buy this deal.
Yeah.
Right. And it's being able to just play matchmaker. So that's one thing I tell people is like, if you have absolutely $0 and you want to get started wholesaling, here's one thing you can do. You need to find all of the big real estate investors, the big flippers. Yeah. And you can do this by doing exactly what you did, going to the real estate meetups.
They're all there.
They want to buy deals. They want to. They're looking to meet people like yourself who are coming to bring them deals. So go up to them, figure out exactly what they want, right? And do that for a month. And go meet all of them and go figure out everything they need, everything they want. Yeah. And then you're going to meet all the wholesalers, which you can do in tandem while you're meeting the buyers. And you're just going to say, look, I'm meeting all the buyers. Like I know who's buying these deals. I know exactly what they're looking for. Send me your deals and maybe I can help you sell them. And then you can come through and with absolutely $0, just by having relationships, you're connecting buyers and sellers right here, and you get paid in the middle.
Yeah, it's so easy. And well, it's really not. Okay, I hate to say that because I don't want people to be influenced with the fact that like it is easy. It's really not. It's going to take some effort and it's going to take some time.
Right.
So effort and time is the biggest thing, especially when you don't have money going in. If you want to start your own operation or, if you're starting underneath somebody, you're going to have to put a lot of time and a lot of effort. And it has to be genuine, like it has to be genuine where it's not forced or you're not putting on a show or act. Like you're genuinely trying to meet these people and building a relationship and rapport. And then, that's how you build the connection to do business and make business happen.
But you're absolutely right. Look, here's the thing is it is easy. People overcomplicate this thing. We're selling a piece of paper, but what it's not is it's not, or no, it's simple. The whole process is simple.
It is simple.
But the hard part is doing the work, like actually showing up to that event, getting yourself to go there, stepping outside your comfort zone and walking up to somebody that you don't know, and just being like, hey, here's what I'm doing, like not being afraid if you're fucking up or anything, and just like, how can I help this person? Yeah.
Well, honestly, even still till this day, I mean, I have a background of hospitality. Like I was a flight attendant where I was seeing people, hundreds of people, different faces a day or, personalities and stuff. But still till this day, especially in real estate, I get shy or I get like a little timid or like I'm not very social that day or whatever. So you have to, put that aside and continue the effort and all that to make it happen because there's always somebody new and, they all want to talk to you and they all want to learn. So it's like putting that aside and continuing the relationship and rapport is what's going to take this business further.
Yeah. So like, would you say you're an extrovert?
To a point.
Yeah.
I am because like, I'm like a extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's my thing is I feel like I'm very extroverted. Like I like going and talking to people and doing all this stuff. But even at these events, I'll find myself, I walk into a room, I'm completely alone. I don't bring any of my team with me or anything. I come in and it can be like intimidating. Like I don't 100%. Like, it feels easy to go stand there in the corner and be on your phone, whatever. But one thing that I found helpful is that I'm just going to make a point that every single person I see, I'm just going to at least go introduce myself. And that's whether it leads to anything or not, here's all you got to do. You gotta walk up to somebody, look them dead in the eye, shake their hand, say your name, ask their name, and then ask them what they do. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And just set the bar there for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's networking 101. You do that and watch the conversations you have. And then just listen. Yeah. And we actually made a video about this yesterday. Jonathan over here, he's reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. You ever read that book?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I love that book.
I read it in audiobook.
Yeah. Oh, so look, something also he put me on that I want to try is he's saying that he reads the book while also listening to it on audio.
That's amazing.
Well, I feel like that's like doubling down. Like if you really want to learn and like absorb a book, I feel like that's a really good way to get after it.
Because you're getting two learning experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's two different methods that your brain can come back and recall things to. But the point that there was one of the points in the book that he really liked was it was talking about if you want to be interesting, just be super interested. And what that means is when you're talking to somebody, Like if me and you are having a conversation and Annette, you're just like, holy shit, like Tyson, that's so cool. Like you do that. How do you do this? Like, and you're just asking me all these questions about myself. I'm going to be like, yo, Annette is the shit. Like I love Annette. Like she was like so interested in all the stuff I do. And even though like you won't realize that that's why you like that person, it will click.
Yeah.
So go up and here's the thing is if you're interested in getting into all of this, you are just going to be naturally interested in hearing about these people.
That is true.
And guess what? People want to talk about their accomplishments and the shit they're doing. So go ask them, like, what's the biggest flip you've ever done? Tell me about it. How much you spent on the rehab? How much money did you make? What's the worst? You know, just like, just ask them the shit you're interested in.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I think that's the easiest way to connect is asking people about themselves. Because like you said, it's 101 psychology. It's like people love talking about themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to go back to that point of being genuine. You genuinely want to know about this person.
Yes.
And they're going to tell you about what they like and what they're doing. And then that's going to lead into business questions. But if you're going up to someone and be like, hey, can I buy a deal from you? Can I sell a deal? They're going to shut you off.
Absolutely.
Because it's just like a turnoff. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah, it's just all you want to do is take.
Exactly.
You know?
So that's a big thing I learned in this whole real estate game. You know, you have to give a lot before you could take anything.
You know what? I'm thinking that this is a litmus test right here for whether this is actually the right industry for you. And it's that if going to a type of event like this, where you're going to be around other real estate professionals, if you're not genuinely interested in what the hell they're doing or what they have to say, then this probably isn't for you.
I think that's a good point.
But because I love what you're saying about being genuine, because I can tell when people like come up to me and like all they want is just some shit from me. Like they don't care. Like they want, you know, one of my deals to sell, or whatever it is, they want to sell me a deal. And that's all they're thinking about is like the money I can provide for them rather than anything else. It's like, bro, turn off.
I feel like, you know, to a point, a lot of these people haven't reached a level of consciousness where they even realize that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not conscious enough to realize that they're being ingenuine or they're being, you know, kind of like pushy. You know what I mean? Like they're just so set on their goal that they're going to do whatever they can in that moment and take advantage of the situation, right? Yeah. But to us, people that understand that level of consciousness, then we get like, what the heck is that? You know, like that was weird. Like I don't want to talk to you. Well,
I mean, now I love what we're talking about here. We're talking about different levels of consciousness. I love that. I love where we're going with that. Yeah. Like you got to have the high level of consciousness even to be realizing that, you know, that's why these people are operating at that level. Mm-hmm. So I've been going on this like a very intense, for the past like almost, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months of like personal development journey.
I love that. That's awesome.
And I've been like, I said I was doing it for like a lot longer than that, but I was like, these last 8 months have been like the real deal of like me every single day looking myself in the mirror and deciding where I'm fucking up and where I need to start leveling up.
That's huge.
Well, it is, but I had to make the conscious decision that I was going to jump 2 feet into doing that. I wasn't going to half-ass it. And so part of that, I'm constantly looking at where my consciousness is at, what I'm thinking about, where my thoughts are, and like eliminating any kind of bad behaviors, like thinking about like, even we're talking about this and I'm talking about people who are coming up to me and if they're asking me for something or anything like that, and I'm just immediately dismissing them or writing them off, like, bro, that's annoying. Where I shouldn't be doing that. I need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, then that's where like the ego plays in part, right? And then that's another conversation, is like understanding our ego and our genuality and like our consciousness all plays a part in how we interact with other individuals. Yeah. So, and then that could really make or break our growth in business and self-development. It's like a constant battle.
Where did you learn about all of these things?
So honestly, my entire life has been, you know, me developing and understanding like personal growth, and like, so I have always been in a survival mindset. I've been on my own since I was 13, but that's a whole other different story, right? So really? I grew up and had to grow up extremely fast. I got in a lot of trouble at a very young age. You know, I always say that, like, internally I always say, I'm like, I've lived 9 lives already. Like it feels like that, you know? But now at this point, because I've had those experiences so young, I feel like I have developed the maturity and understanding of the higher levels of consciousness, you know, and always wanting better. And a lot of it ties to, I would say, my faith, and also putting the effort in self-development strategies. Like, I read a lot. I love reading. I think it's cool.
What are your top 3 books?
So my top 3 books would be Be Here Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Be Here Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
So that book absolutely changed my life. I literally have the quote written, like, tattooed on my back. Like, that opened a level of consciousness for me that I never understood, because when somebody grows up in adversity, right, and experiences trauma at a very young age, our brains literally close. Like, they shield out of, like, security and protection. Like, naturally, our brains will have, like, a shield over it. It's like a certain, like, stem cell or whatever, but it's literally science.
Makes sense, yeah.
It's literally science. So when you experience trauma at a young age, our brain does, like, this weird thing. So this book helped me understand that.
Okay.
Because, like, when you experience something traumatic, you automatically close off. You know how everybody says, oh, I put up a wall, or I do this, and I don't trust anymore, right? So that's our actual science within our bodies that does it naturally, right, to protect us. But this book helps you break those walls and understand, like, okay, you go through this trauma, but you are, like, your consciousness is still there, and there's a way to break through it so that you could continue to grow. You don't have to stay at this level. You experience this, but you could break through and continue your growth. So that freaking book, I recommend it to everybody. I think every podcast I've ever had myself, because I do my podcast too, you've been on it. I talk about that book. On Shireen Dora's podcast, I talk about that book. So any opportunity for anybody that is wanting to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, Be Here Now by Eckhart Tolle is amazing.
Okay. I'm going to check that out for sure.
You should. Yeah, it's amazing.
Because that's some really interesting stuff. I love when people are able to tie in some of these concepts that might be a little bit more like subjective, like, things like spirituality and things of that nature, into some sort of scientific basis of what you're talking about, the way, like, your brain will be like a turtle in its shell.
No, literally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's really cool. I like that. Be Here Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to check it out. And when I do, I'm gonna text you about it. I'm going to say, here's what I think.
Yes, I love that stuff. It makes me so excited because it's like you share something and then somebody else has their own experience and the perception of it. So, yeah, it's cool.
Dude, that's my favorite thing. You know what I think I need to do? I need to get in a book club. Because
okay, I don't know about that.
I don't know. That's my favorite thing to do. You know what people do nowadays? They watch the same TV shows and they all talk about it. Where books are way better. Like, when you really get down to it, because it's like I feel like you have more of a possibility to, like, change your life from reading a book. And then I want to talk to other people. Like, for instance, Templeton Walker had me read this book called As a Man Thinketh. And it's like written in, like, I think, like, the early 1900s. Yeah. And this dude, I can't even remember the name of the author, is, like, saying it's basically about how your thoughts will basically control your life. Like, if you can control what you think about, then you're going to have everything you want.
But you are not your thoughts.
Yes, well, that too, which also another thing that I was talking with him is, and I want to talk about this analogy that I saw from TikTok. There was this guy who was talking about it. It's like, you are not your thoughts. People used to think that everything you, like, came up here came from you.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not what it is.
It's crazy.
So the analogy the guy said is, it's like, you got to think about it like different radio stations, right? So you have all these different radio stations, and your brain will just, like, tune into some of them. But you need to realize is that these are all just kind of coming through, and you're in the middle of it, and you're just kind of, like, seeing
it. You're observing it. You're experiencing it.
Yes, you didn't come up with that. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to tune into a shitty station.
Naturally. I mean, naturally as humans, we always tend to navigate towards the negative or towards the bad. So it's just about rewiring and understanding and having, again, that level of consciousness to literally sit back within your thought and observe both the good thoughts and the bad thoughts. Like you said, the different radio stations. So, yeah, but that takes time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and this is one of the biggest things is, like, on this this journey of personal development that I've been going on, it all started physically. Like, it all started, like, I need to eliminate some of these habits that are wrecking me physically so that I can be the person that I need to be. But it's so fast. It's developed into exactly what we're talking about now. It's all internally. I'm thinking about my thoughts and my spirituality and things, and I'm leveling up in that nature. And that is feeling way more substantial than any kind of physical gains I've made.
Oh, 100%. I think that's amazing too. Congrats, like, on your journey with all your fitness stuff. It's been awesome to see. So congrats on that.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm also big in the gym, so I know how hard it is to meet those goals.
Yeah.
It's freaking a lot of, like, discipline.
It is.
It is hard.
You have to almost rewire your brain and build these different habits. Your life completely changes.
Well, like you said, it's like we could show up in the gym, but if we're mentally not not there, we're not going to perform.
Nope.
You know, so you could show up every single day but not make any progress at all.
Yep.
And it really ties back into where your mental state is and emotionally as well. I feel like that plays a big part.
So one thing that like I've been able to help people with is people will ask me questions about like working out and different things, and I'm able to help a lot of them, but I'm really only able to help men. Like, I don't know how to answer. Like, girls will ask me, they'll be like, well, what would you recommend for nutrition and lifting? And I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I don't know if it's different or like, I can speak to my experience to other dudes.
Well, it's good you're honest. There are a lot of people who will just be like, oh, just eat like chicken and rice.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're obviously like super fit. You're killing it in the gym.
Thank you.
Talk to me about how you got into that, where you learned, and what advice you can give somebody else, especially like a female listening to this. But also between me and you, and I guess everybody else watching right now, my audience is like 90% dudes. So maybe
well,
not.
I hope this reaches the 10% of women that are watching as well. But so honestly. Okay, so I've been working out for the longest of time, like longest, and it always tied back to me trying to find something that would keep me out of trouble.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I started working out maybe when I was like in high school, but never took it serious. It was just something that was like extracurriculum to like, hey, keep me off the streets or like keep me from getting tied into the wrong crowd or things like that, right? But then I started to realize like more of the benefits that it had, and that was, you know, for your mental health. Emotional health, you know, when you look good, you feel good. And I'm a really big believer of that. Like when you get up every day and you dress up and you put your makeup on and you get your hair done, you are going to perform 3 times better than what you would if you're running 10 minutes late and you roll out of bed and your breath stinks. Like you're just not going to freaking perform well. So that all plays into part with the gym, right? So if you're putting in that effort, you know, maybe if it's just a few days a week, you're going to perform and you're going to be better 3 times than you would if you're not doing at least the minimum.
Yeah.
So I've been honestly on and off the gym. I did a little bit of the competing stuff when I was younger. So,
really?
Yeah, I competed in bikini bodybuilding just 1 year, but I totally hated it. It was mentally draining. I probably didn't have the best coach, but
well, what about it was draining? Was it like the nutrition, or was it like the posing and constantly like criticizing yourself? Like, what about it didn't you really like?
Well, I think you hit all 3 points. So it was like the nutrition and then the criticism, and then it's just like you start having these expectations, these gnarly expectations of like things that are not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like you want to look a certain way all year round, and it's just not possible. It's not humanly healthy.
Right.
Like it's not healthy. So I forgot where we were going.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, because the thing is I've thought about like competing. Just and here's strictly is if I ever do a show, the reason why it's strictly for the Instagram optics is I want to show, hey, like we're building this business, and the same time I'm also like competing at the highest level over here.
It's not easy.
But no, it is not.
No.
Like I work with a nutritionist, and
Nice.
he like does like, you know, he'll help people prep for shows and things like that. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it because one, I'm on camera a lot and like doing like social media and stuff. And when you're doing that, you start to be like, oh shit, like I probably need to, you know, fucking.
Well, you notice like the imperfections within yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I think that that's really interesting. Also, one that you like recognize. You're like, and another thing is people will get this goal. They're like, I want to do this, but then if you start to realize that you hate it and it's unhealthy and you don't like it and it's not serving you, bounce, you're out of here.
Exactly. I mean, it's all about choices, right? And how you want to navigate things. I think with working out, especially when you want to be your most optimum self, it plays a huge part in your development. So when you're working out and you're feeling good, you're going to level up to eventually where you want to be. It all really ties apart. It really is going to take you there.
Yeah.
I could promise you, if you're not into working out, you don't have to be a bodybuilder in the gym, but like run on the treadmill or like do whatever you're most comfortable with. I promise you, like it really accelerates your goals. It just does.
Absolutely.
It's like the endorphins that it produces.
Well, here's the thing is people get sold on the dream. They're like, I want to look like a certain way. And that's why they get into it. But that's not the reason they stay. The reason why they stay with these habits is because exactly what you're talking about. It's all these other ancillary benefits, the things of the endorphins, post-workout, how good you feel. You start to have increased energy throughout the day. You're able to become the person you need to be. And the biggest thing is when you look good, you do feel good.
I'm a big believer of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I like track it within myself because I have like a planner, and I'm like, I didn't work out the day. I felt like shit that day.
Yeah.
Or I was like in a mood at work, or like, just little things. I'm like, man, it's because I didn't work out.
Yeah.
And, for anybody that's watching, I'm not saying, be a freaking bodybuilder in the gym, but make that effort and that commitment to yourself to at least just give a little bit of focus to your health. It's going to help you in all aspects of life. It really is.
I believe it all starts there. Everything. With anything you want to do, it starts with you improving yourself
physically. And your fitness and your health. It is, yeah. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. I love saying that. Like,
I will say, no, for any dudes watching this, you do need to be a bodybuilder. It is your responsibility to become jacked and strong. That's jacked about being a man.
Yeah, that's funny.
But for girls, no, I disagree. I don't think that. No.
Just look good. You're going to feel good.
Yeah. Well, I say like all the time, like you can take like I can take a kid, pull him off the street. I'm going to put him in a $10,000 suit, give him a nice ass watch, put him in some like, Gucci loafers. He is going to be a different person than he was before.
It's all mental.
It is. And that's the thing is it doesn't actually matter. It's not like you didn't change anything, but it's just the way you felt. Now that's because I'm talking about like, putting him in some nice shit and that gives him that status. And that's one level of it. The next level is when you actually transform yourself and it's like it's coming from inside who you really are.
Yeah.
Then you're just even more of a badass. Like you become a different person. Like you'll build better relationships. People are going to like you more. Like everything. It's life changing. Everybody has to do it. It's a non-negotiable. Like everybody that is like in my office, like, I don't know if you know.
We're all hitting the gym.
Oh, we're all in the gym. Everybody's on meal prep. Like that's who we are because we know that, hey, because I surround myself with people who want to be the best version of themselves. And every single person, the best version of themselves includes being fit and healthy.
No, I love that. And I honestly, I couldn't agree more. I think that is a huge important aspect of if you're wanting to reach a certain level, if you're wanting to be at your best self, you need to take care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah.
So, and spiritually, that's a huge one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning. And so like I'll be honest with you, like I didn't grow up like with any type of like organized religion or spirituality at all.
Really?
And so it's something that I've been learning like through this journey of mine is like I'm saying is it started here, but now I'm tapping in up here and spiritually and all of that is it's really interesting kind of finding where I fall in all of that. And I can feel myself like leveling up more as I start to embrace more of that.
Yeah.
Like it starts, I mean, again, it starts with the fitness and then you start to see all these other things. Like I would not be where I am and kind of like, discovering my spirituality and all of these things if it didn't start over here. No. I would still be doing the same shit.
And imagine like the next levels and the next levels after that. It's like, yeah, you level up. It's freaking exciting.
That is what's exciting is that there always is a different thing. Like that you can keep going, you keep getting better. That's why I'm jazzed up about life all the time because I just know how much dope shit there is out there. And like, I don't even know all of it. I don't even know like half of it. I don't even know a quarter of it right now. Like as I just start reaching new levels, I start learning about all this other stuff. Like, I compare it to like cars. Like I love cars. I don't like know a lot about them. I don't know why they do what they do. Yeah. I just like to look at them and I like to know that they go fast, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm like leveling up and looking into new cars, it's like I start to see all these other ones. I'm like, oh shit! Like where I used to be like, oh dude, the Lamborghini is the baddest fucking car ever. Now all of a sudden I learn about some of these other ones. I'm looking, I'm like, oh damn. Well, after I get that, and then I'm gonna want the fucking Bugatti, and then after the, and then, it's like.
Yeah. Well, I had to give you your flowers, Tyson, because when we first met, when I first started like a freaking year ago, seeing your growth and everything, and then you being on my podcast, and now seeing where you are and in your business, and then in your spirituality and your fitness, it's all elevated. So congrats to you. I think that's amazing.
I apprete that. I mean, really, since we've met, it has been a lot, and like
a lot has changed, and especially like with the market and everything. It's been crazy. And then you spoke at the event, so it's like all new levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and something that I think that has been helpful for me with that is I think you can look at how things are right now. And so if we we rewind like a year ago, and I don't even remember off the top of my head, I can't even say what I was doing or where I was at, but it's like a year ago, what I do know is I was thinking of where do I want to be and what kind of reality do I want to create for myself. And part of that was like, number one is like the way I look right now isn't it. Like I had to visualize myself. Like, it's like, I literally thought exactly of the person that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And was like, all right, how do I get there? And number one, it was like, okay, that guy fucking does not, like, he's got, like, this guy I am now is a little bit too squishy in certain places. Like, the guy I want to be isn't, you know?
Yeah.
And number two is, like, what's he doing? Like, I knew I always wanted to do things. I wanted to be, I say, like, the man in the arena. So things like I wanted to be speaking on stage, and I wanted to be in front of people, and I wanted to be able to show people that they can do this too.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I need to start doing the things to get me there. And that started with, like, posting on social media, making content, things of that nature. And it was these little habits that I doubled down on and just stay consistent with. And it's like people really, something that I say is that people vastly overestimate how much they can do in a year, and they underestimate how much they can do in 5 years.
I agree.
So I'm looking at 5-year horizons, right? And it's looking from where I'm a year ago is I was thinking, okay, so I was like 23 years old. It's like, where am I going to be when I'm 28?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because now it's like when you're planning for that much ahead, it's all of these small little things compound so much more.
Right.
You know?
No, I agree. Yeah, that's awesome that you have that vision. That's amazing. Very motivational.
Well, here's the thing is finding that vision was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Was deciding of like being able to figure out and really, because beforehand, look, I was still wholesaling, like I was making good money, like, and I've always been like a really happy person. Like I had a good life by all means, but it was like one day I had to kind of like sit myself down and really think like, okay, like motherfucker, we got one life. Like, what are we going to trade it for? Because you are every single day, you're trading days, you're trading your life for something.
Every minute counts.
Yeah.
And I am a big believer of that because, my gosh, I don't know if you've ever experienced something that has had you in a moment where like, oh my God, like this is so pivotal and so huge. But like that's when you have the realization like, oh my God, like every minute counts.
Yeah.
Like we have to make really big decisions and be very conscious of what we do because every freaking minute counts.
Everything does. Like your time here is short and it's limited. And one thing we know is everybody, your time's going to expire one day.
Yeah. And we never know when it is, right?
No.
So it's like it could be tomorrow. It could be in 5 years, 20 years, 30. Who knows?
Well, and keeping that close to you and keeping that thought close to you, which I think is really hard to do, and that comes with, you know, leveling up your consciousness and things like that, is understanding the, you know, how finite this is, and then being able to take advantage of all of it.
100%.
And be able to walk every single day and just realize all the opportunity, all the different shit that's out there, and that, I mean, it's up to you. Like, you are in this game, and you are pretty much able to do whatever the fuck you want. Like, just if you want something, go figure out how to do it. Like you just look at the thing and then you reverse engineer the daily steps you need to take and you'll get there.
Well, see, you say it so easily, but like I feel like a lot of us, a lot of people are so caught up in their like superficial reality that they don't see past that. They don't realize it.
Yeah.
So it takes like you have to break out of the freaking what is it?
The Matrix?
The Matrix, yeah. I was trying to think of that. I was like, you have to break out of the freaking Matrix. Yeah.
Well, it is. And here's the biggest tip that I can tell people about when it comes to finding your vision of who you want to be and everything is the first thing you need to do is get rid of all these limiting beliefs you have. Because I had limiting beliefs in my head. I was like, dude, I don't really think, like, I'm not going to be able to become the best wholesaler. Like, I'm not going to be able to become, like, very influential and famous on social media. Or I'm not going to be able to look like some of these guys are. They do all of these things. Like, they're, you know, like, talking, like, physically. They're doing all of these things in the gym, and then they have this dedication, and they don't, you know, they cut out alcohol and all these different things. So I had these limited beliefs. And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, just negativity. Right.
And then I can't tell you how it was, and I honestly probably need to like meditate on the thought and figure out what it was, but eventually, and I think it was also like getting to like talk to some like higher level people and being exposed to them and be able to have conversation with them. But eventually, as I realized, is like, dude, somebody is going to be the best wholesaler, and there could be somebody I know. Yeah. Like somebody is going to go get that body. Somebody is going to, you know, put themselves out there, and they're gonna get all the influence that they want on social media and these types of things. And I had to realize, like, somebody's going to do it, and that person is just a person. Like, why can't it be me?
Yeah, we're literally all human.
Yeah.
We all have the same ability to achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you and I are no different than Jeff Bezos. Yeah. And you know, all he did was he had a vision, and he worked relentlessly until he got there. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that people really, one, crush your limiting beliefs. You need to figure out exactly what the fuck you want to do, and then make that your goal, and don't half-ass it. Like, and I'm breaking down limiting beliefs every single day. The other night, I was talking with my girlfriend, and we're talking about the podcast and what I'm doing here and all of this. And I was thinking, like, I've had a limiting belief since I started where I was like, oh, this is just something that I do for fun. Like, it's not ever going to be like a crazy big thing.
Like, you put a limitation on yourself.
Yeah, where I was like, oh, it's just a hobby. Like, I don't want to. And then my girlfriend was like, no, fuck that. She was like, you need to knock Joe Rogan off #1. And my first instinct was like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But then I caught myself. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? Who's that little bitch that's saying, oh, I can't do that?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, all right, fuck you, Joe Rogan. I'm coming for #1 on Spotify. And I realized it's like, well, let's take a look. One, I love doing this. Mm-hmm. And like, two, I have every other advantage that he has. Like, why can't I?
No, it's 100% true. And that goes for anything. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example for anybody that might be, you know, experiencing that limitation mindset. Apply that switch, and then boom, you're on the road to eventually meet that success if you continue with determination.
Yes. Well, that's the thing is you have to be determined. You have to be driven because you have to. It's not like you're just gonna think about it. It's not like I'm just gonna lay in bed and sit with my girlfriend and say, "Oh, like I'm gonna be the #1 podcast," and then all of a sudden by magic it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you gotta put in the work.
Yeah, but so once I have that, I know the end result. I know all the steps that I got to do to get there. I think everybody does. Like, I mean, you could take anybody. It's like, well, what do you got to do? Well, okay, you got to make better podcasts. You got to be more interesting. You got to network and get great guests. You got to, build a nice setup in these things. And it's like, okay, once you know what to do, boom, all right, execute.
It's applying it.
Yes, applying
it. 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, so Annette, one thing is I really do want to advertise how badass she is, especially at moving deals here in Arizona. So if somebody, #1, has a deal and they're like, all right, I'm trying to move this, I'm trying to make some money, how are they going to reach out to you so that you can go sell that deal for them and make them a bunch of money?
My gosh, thank you. Yeah, for anybody that is newer in the industry, wholesalers, investors, realtors, I'm working with everybody here in Arizona. I have buyers and deals, of course, so any opportunity both in the Phoenix area, surrounding cities, and then Tucson. Up north, you could reach me directly at 602-932-6167 or via email if that's what you prefer at deals@disposharks.com. Text is always best. I always tend to respond a lot faster, so give me a call, give me a text. For any questions too, I'm open. I'm always available, except for like late at night. Some people call and I'm like, okay, like I have to go to bed.
Right.
But no, yeah. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm still learning. I'll be 100%, but what I have learned this far, I am definitely willing to share. So I'm always willing to do that.
No, guys, seriously, she's a fucking badass.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm telling you, the level of the way that you conduct yourself in business it impresses the shit out of me. Like, I remember I was telling Blake, I was telling my dad, I was like, dude, Annette is on fucking her shit, like, all the time. Like, I love this. Like, and I was like, this is something I need to be conscious of that we're doing, making sure that we're always making shit happen.
Thank you so much.
So I know that if somebody sends a deal to you and it's a deal that you are going to do everything in your power and you're going to be on top of it to get that shit sold.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Honestly, I really take like pride in how hardworking I am. I'm on it. I'm here to make money. I think we both are, right? We're here to make money. I don't play any games. I'll be very straightforward. And I think one thing that makes me stand out amongst like the other people in the real estate realm is we have like a lot of end buyers, right? So we have like a niche in the Hispanic market that we've tapped into that has allowed us to sell really difficult deals. And I like to mention that because, I know right now in this industry, it's always about like the 65% or buying it lower. If you have a deal that you've worked on, shoot it my way. I always tend to sell those really hard deals.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
No, dude, that's a really good point. I'm glad you said that because you guys are on top of that shit. Like, there's things that I'm like, no, like that's not, like, this is never going to work. And then you guys are putting something together. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a really excellent point. And then where can people find you on Instagram?
Yes. So I have Instagram at Annette Joe. So it's ANNETTEE and then JOO. And that's really it. That's really
you got some motivating shit on there. I love your Instagram.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to like spice it up, but it's a mixture of course, real estate. I love personal development, growth, positivity.
Yeah.
Really big with fitness. So any motivation there, I love to apply it. And yeah.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Annette, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Guys, this has been episode 15 of The Rebellion. We've got to learn from Annette and learn about her story and what she's doing now. If you guys haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on post notifications to get updated when we put on new episodes. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or any of those other platforms, because you are a crazy psycho, because who's listening to podcasts on anything besides Apple Music or Spotify, make sure to do whatever you can do on that platform to help the episode out, whether that's to leave a review or to share it or whatever it may be. The last thing I'm going to ask of you is that if you happen to know somebody who's maybe struggling because they want to get into real estate and they're not sure how, or maybe that they have limiting beliefs that are keeping them from experiencing the greatness that you know they're capable of, make sure to share this episode with them so that they can take a piece and they can start leveling up to be the person they need to be. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
All right.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
You did amazing. You know, you have a crazy, your voice and your